All right. Can I try the good morning one more time again? Good morning. Yeah, there we go. I know it's early. I know it's the third day one that you're in today, and so I appreciate you coming today. I'm super excited. My name's Max Peterson. I'm our Vice President for Sovereign Cloud, and I lead our efforts to ensure that all of our customers around the world have the most advanced set of sovereignty controls, privacy safeguards, and security features available in the cloud. Before stepping into this role, I had the privilege of leading our worldwide public sector business, where I worked with customers across education, government, healthcare, nonprofits, aerospace and satellite, all around the world to help them modernize their missions with the cloud while they had to meet very stringent compliance, security, and sovereignty requirements. And so I'm just thrilled to be here to have a quick conversation this morning to discuss digital sovereignty and how AWS can help you navigate this complex, evolving landscape. I know that many of you, you're here because you want to drive the sort of innovation that the cloud enables. However, I know you're facing the complexity and the changing dynamics as policies and requirements continue to rapidly evolve. And this can bring concerns among customers about, are they acquiring the right knowledge and the right skills at an affordable cost with a simple design, a simple architecture to be able to meet your near-term and your long-range digital sovereignty requirements today, while also ensuring that you're doing everything you need to lay the groundwork for the future. During this session, I'll be sharing some of the common challenges that organizations are facing around the world and how you can overcome these hurdles and how you can also strengthen organizational resilience and be able to keep driving innovation at the pace you've been doing with the cloud. I encourage you to get your phones ready. There's a lot of information here, and we included QR codes on some of these so that you can easily link to them to find additional information after the presentation here. Let's start by discussing digital sovereignty and what it actually means. If I were to go around the room here today and ask you what your definition of digital sovereignty is, I bet I'd hear something different from almost everybody. It means different things precisely because people, countries, and regions around the world have their own requirements. And adding to this complexity is the fact that there is no uniform guidance around the types of workloads or the industries or the sectors that are required to meet different digital sovereignty requirements. And so while the requirement can take many different shapes, we've worked hard to try and distill the key themes by listening to customers and partners and regulators. And here's how we break it down. We break it down to include data residency, operator access restrictions, resilience, and even more so when you're building critical digital systems, survivability, and independence and transparency. And these themes are ultimately all rooted in trust, which is the cornerstone of digital innovation that's being driven by organizations across regulated industries and across the private sector. Let's face it, we have a big responsibility. End users entrust institutions, from government agencies to healthcare organizations and others, with some of their most sensitive information. And they need to have confidence that it's going to be treated safely and handled ethically. And they expect the services that they rely on to be secure, to be easy to use, and to be available at all times. Likewise, the institutions that we work with expect that they can trust the infrastructure that they're going to build services on to store their data in, as well as be able to demonstrate the commitment to privacy with the partners that they choose to work with. They have to be able to provide assured proof that the data is protected, that privacy is respected, and that control over data remains in the hands of those who have the proper authority, all while continuing to drive digital innovation. And in this world that's increasingly driven by data, the cloud is the place that's going to provide the security, the privacy, and the control that organizations need, while also supporting the scale, the agility, and the speed to innovate to be able to keep up with rising demands. As executives focus on improving customer trust and making sure that compliance and industry regulations are met, that digital sovereignty has continued to rise as a priority. According to a recent survey conducted by IDC, a premier global provider of market intelligence and advisory services, 84% of organizations worldwide are either using or planning to use sovereign cloud solutions in the next year. And this explains to us why more and more organizations are factoring digital sovereignty into their strategies and into operations to be able to keep up with this evolving, changing world. We understand that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to deliver on your mission, to drive innovation, and to meet digital sovereignty requirements, and that's precisely why we believe that it's important that you make these decisions with the freedom to choose the right answer to meet your unique needs. And sovereignty has been a priority for AWS since the very beginning, when we were the only major cloud service provider to allow customers to control the location and the movement of their data. And we continue to invent based upon the criteria that we know is most important to customers. And it's a testament to these efforts, I believe, that AWS was honored to have emerged as the #1 global sovereign cloud service provider by organizations, selected by organizations, in a June 24 survey conducted by IDC. So let's dive in a little bit and discuss how customers are using AWS to get the full benefits of the cloud while meeting all of their necessary requirements with confidence and security. The AWS cloud is sovereign by design, and we offer a comprehensive set of industry-leading technical measures, operational controls, and contract protections that give customers control over where they locate their data, who has access to it, and how it's used. To provide greater transparency and assurance on how AWS services are designed and operated, we also continue to seek out and secure third-party review and attestations, accreditations, and certifications that help our customers provide that provable assurance that AWS can meet their current and their emerging compliance schemes. Now, security has always been a top priority for AWS, and we believe that it's absolutely foundational to digital sovereignty. Without foundational security, there simply is no digital sovereignty. We've got the proven operational track record and experience, and customers get a benefit from a cloud whose network architecture is built to meet the requirements of some of the most security-sensitive organizations around the world, including governments, including financial services, including healthcare, and millions of customers around the world count on AWS, and this is not something that we take lightly. Our role as a cloud service provider is not simply to offer advanced technology, but to provide the secure and trustworthy foundation upon which that technology operates. We support more than 140 security standards and compliance certifications that give customers and partners around the world the ability to directly inherit these controls so that they can speed up compliance with local laws and regulations. This includes the Cloud Computing Compliance Criteria Catalog, known as C5, which was introduced by the German Federal Office for Information Security, or BSI. And has significantly shaped cybersecurity cloud standards across Europe since its introduction. AWS was the first cloud service provider to receive BSI's C5 attestation, and it now covers over 160 AWS services. Again, it's really important that we help customers use the full power of the cloud, and so that's exactly why we pursue these broad-based assessments and accreditations. This provides the customers with the assurance they need to meet these specific requirements. We've also always been deeply engaged with regulators and cybersecurity authorities for over 2 decades. And this helps align our offerings with the national priorities to ensure that our solutions support both innovation and control. And we contribute actively to helping to shape these frameworks so that we help regulators balance the security and sovereignty requirements they have with the innovation and agility requirements that we know customers have. This is exactly why we've been working with the European Union Agency for Cybersecurity, known as ENISA, in contributing to the development of the EU Cloud Services Scheme, known as EUCS. And that's so that when it becomes the official certificate, customers will be able to count on AWS from day one to meet that standard. We currently have 34 cloud computing regions around the world that are made up of clusters of data centers with 108 availability zones that are fully isolated to provide the exceptionally high level of resilience, redundancy, and availability that customers need when they build mission-critical systems. We've announced plans to build 6 more AWS regions around the world. Excitingly, one of them, the European Sovereign Cloud, adding more than 18 additional availability zones. And leveraging these regions allows customers to optimize for scale, for agility, for speed, and for reduced costs, all while being able to get the highest level of security and protection across the entire global infrastructure. Beyond this infrastructure, we also build our services so that they are resilient and operate regionally whenever possible without having global dependencies. This helps to further increase resilience and autonomy that our customers get. It also allows customers to benefit from the global scale by leveraging certain global services in all different regions, such as simplifying the process for keeping AWS identity and access management and billing centralized. As we talked about before, resilience is a key element that we hear from customers in terms of digital sovereignty. Customers know that their workloads in the cloud must continue to operate in the face of natural disasters, in the face of network disruptions like we've seen, unfortunately, in the face of geopolitical conflict. And since day one, our global infrastructure has been designed to be able to allow customers to build highly resilient workload architectures so that AWS can help them deliver the highest level of availability to their end customers. Each AWS region is comprised of multiple different availability zones, and the availability zones are made up of one or more data centers that contain redundant power, connectivity, networking, all of this to be able to better isolate issues that might arise to achieve the highest level of availability. And customers can, of course, design their applications to take advantage of multiple availability zones, all within the same region. Now, ensuring confidentiality and the integrity of customer data is absolutely essential. And our regions, as you heard, if you listened to Peter DeSantis's Monday Night Live or even Matt's keynote yesterday, our regions are all powered by the AWS Nitro system. For 10 years, we've been reinventing the EC2 virtualization stack by moving more and more functions from the virtualization layer into dedicated hardware and firmware. And the result of this is the Nitro system, which we continue to innovate on and improve today. Nitro is designed to provide very strong physical and logical security boundaries, so that it enforces the sort of restrictions so that nobody, not even anyone in AWS, can access customer workloads on EC2. The security design of the Nitro system also, importantly, has been validated by an independent report from a global cybersecurity firm called the NCC Group. And this builds upon our continued commitment to be able to provide you the assurance and the transparency that you need so that you can understand how AWS services are designed and operated, and you can make the right choices to meet the compliance, security, and sovereignty requirements that you may have in your country or region around the world. And we believe that being transparent like this is critical in building and sustaining trust in the cloud. Another way that we prevent unauthorized access to your data is through customers' abilities to encrypt their data that's stored in AWS services, with most services supporting encryption and customer managed keys. And these are inaccessible to AWS. As you all know, encrypted content is rendered useless without the applicable decryption keys. And that's why we recommend customers always encrypt data in transit and at rest. And we provide the tools to make it easy to do that. This includes the AWS Key Management Service, which generates and manages customer keys and data keys and is designed so that no one can retrieve customers' plain text, customer managed keys from the service. It also includes the AWS Cloud Hardware Security Module, or Cloud HSM, that gives customers the ability to securely generate, store, and manage the cryptographic keys that are used for data encryption in a way that's only accessible to the customer. AWS provides it as managed service, but the customer is the only one who has access to that key generation piece. And then finally, both the hardware and the software used in KMS and Cloud HSM are continuously validated under the NIST FIPS 140-3 security level validation. We don't stop there. To provide customers and our partners with even more options to control encryption and key management, we built the AWS External Key Store. And this allows those customers who want to protect their data with encryption keys that are in an external key management system under their control or under control of a trusted third party. This gives them the flexibility to encrypt or decrypt their data with cryptographic keys and with independent authorization and audit in an external key management system that is outside of AWS. And with that, some customers view that architecture as the ultimate way of guaranteeing that the cloud service provider, AWS, doesn't have any access to any of the encryption keys. And this can help in those cases where they need to address an exceptional risk management scheme for regulated workloads or for other requirements. Here are some of the examples of partners that have started with AWS to support the XKS system. Managing external key stores is a technically difficult challenge, and it's a bad day at the office when you lose your keys. And so a lot of these partners provide this XKS service externally to AWS, like Evident or Salesforce, Talus, HashiCorp, Intrust, and T-Systems, and many of the others that you see up here. This sovereign by design foundation allows customers to be able to drive advancements and meet requirements without having to compromise. And we're seeing the benefits across all sectors. In government services, cloud platforms are helping to streamline processes and help make public administration faster and more accessible. In healthcare, cloud solutions are being used to aggregate and analyze data and improve patient outcomes. One example is Hospital Mainschleife, which is the first hospital in Germany to run all of its infrastructure in the cloud, and it now has over 10 terabytes of patient and medical data digitized on AWS that adheres to the strict requirements set forth under GDPR and the relevant German social law for healthcare data. They use the AWS KMS system and the rules there to provide customer-managed keys that enables the hospital to limit incoming decryption requests to authorized users in Germany, and this is one of the techniques they use to meet the regulatory requirements. In financial services, cloud innovation is helping enhance data security, optimize operations, and personalize customer experiences. And for instance, VLev is one of Denmark's largest pension companies. They worked with AWS and our partner Cognizant to migrate their on-premise IT stack so that they could take full advantage of a 100% cloud environment. And this is helping them actually to meet the high standard of security that's required by the Danish Financial Authority, so that it provides them external auditable capability for the auditor to be able to review and validate the AWS Management Console, all while giving the customer the ability to continue to automate and innovate on their customer solutions. And this is exactly the type of complexity that AWS and our partners can help overcome. So when we can get together with you and talk about your specific requirements, we can make sure that you're able to deliver the innovation that citizens, patients, students, and customers all around the world require. Now, leaders across the public sector and regulated industries worldwide are facing the need to balance the benefits of emerging technologies with the need to maintain security, compliance, and resilience. They manage some of the most sensitive information that's out there, and they need to make sure that it stays protected and secure while still being able to adopt new technologies like generative AI. I bet you were waiting for when I finally got to the Gen AI slide. And it's important because Gen AI is going to be one of those tools that helps businesses and helps government keep up with the evolving needs of citizens and customers. AWS offers a wide range of AI and ML innovations that are built on the same sovereign by design foundation, and this makes it easier and more practical for customers to use while getting the same security, privacy, and control that they need to meet these compliance requirements. One of the innovations that was talked about a lot yesterday, in fact, by Andy, is Amazon Bedrock, which is a service that allows customers to build and scale generative AI applications quickly, easily, and securely. It supports encryption. It enforces the same access controls that all of our AWS services do. It offers comprehensive monitoring and logging capabilities that support the governance and audit requirements that you have to adhere to. No customer data is used to train the original base foundation models. And when you fine-tune your model, you make a private version of it and you put it in a secure container that only you can access. It's important for organizations to be able to have the freedom to build services quickly, securely, and efficiently using world-class technology. And so AWS continues to invest based on what we hear from customers and our partners and our regulators. And we back up our sovereignty capabilities with the AWS Digital Sovereignty Pledge. This is our commitment to offer all customers the most advanced set of sovereignty controls and features available in the cloud. And we're investing in an ambitious roadmap to continue to expand these capabilities to deliver more options for data residency, more granular access restriction, encryption, and resilience and survivability to help meet customer needs. Since launching the pledge at re:Invent in 2022, we've made a number of further announcements with a focus on giving customers more control and more choice so that they don't have to compromise in order to meet their digital sovereignty needs. And today, we offer a broad range of services from distributed cloud to edge computing capabilities that meets customers' requirements wherever they need it. And it's important because this allows customers to leverage the same services, architecture, APIs, and tools across these environments. Why? Because that's how they accelerate innovation, that's how they can increase operational efficiencies, and it's how they also can reduce costs, all while meeting the different compliance and regulatory standards. This includes AWS Outposts, which is a family of fully managed solutions that put AWS infrastructure and services on-premise or at an edge location, customer-provided, partner-provided, and it supports workloads and devices that require low latency access, perhaps to on-premise systems, or provide local data processing, or provide data residency, in those cases where applications may have some dependency upon existing local systems. While Outposts typically run connected to AWS regions for the purpose of access control, management, and software updates, we're excited to announce at re:Invent this year that Outposts now offer static stability for EC2 instances that are backed up by the instance store. And this means that in the event of an unintended or an intentional network disconnection, your workloads on the EC2 instances on the Outposts continue to operate normally, even when that connection to the parent region is unavailable. And once that it's available again, it helps you recover and minimize any downtime. Another way that we're supporting the requirements that customers have is with the satellite resiliency for AWS Outposts, also announced at re:Invent this year, which offers a partner-managed solution that routes traffic back to the parent region over a LEO satellite connection when the terrestrial network connectivity is not available. Again, another way to ensure that customers can get the full power of AWS and continue to operate with the full power of AWS, even in the event there's a natural disaster or a temporary disconnection. We also recognize that our enterprise customers using Outposts may have large volumes of sensitive information that resides on external storage systems, or they may simply prefer to have a local data archive to meet compliance or statutory requirements. This helps our customers by giving them the ability now to attach to third-party storage systems from Pure Storage and from NetApp. And so the customers are able to attach these block data volumes to Pure Storage and NetApp, to the EC2 instances that are running on the Outpost right from the AWS Management Console. This again helps them to break down those sorts of data silos and be able to provide for local data archives, all to be able to get additional value out of the existing systems and the cloud. AWS has offered landing zone accelerators for a number of years now that help customers secure and establish multi-account AWS architectures that are based on best practices. These are pre-configured environments that provide the foundational governance, security controls, network configurations, and compliance tools that allow organizations to be able to deploy workloads efficiently and securely, and importantly, allow them to operate in continuous compliance. The Landing Zone Accelerator builds on specialized configurations to help customers move faster, where they have specific technical controls or infrastructure requirements. As I said, we launched it back in 2022, and since then, thousands of customers have been able to use it to deploy on AWS faster and more securely, and leverage the AWS experience and partner experience with best practices. It now includes specific configurations for organizations like the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity Cloud and the National Cybersecurity Centre in the UK. And new this week, we announced that we're going to continue helping customers meet specific security standards by delivering a series of regional implementations that include further detailed guidance and best practices on how to configure services and features and security that align with local policies and regulatory requirements. We've already launched guides now for the Government Information Security Baseline known as BIO in the Netherlands, and the National Security Scheme known as ENS in Spain. And we're going to continue to expand to additional countries. In Spain, AWS worked very closely with the National Cryptologic Center, known as the CCN, to develop the guidance so that customers can now systematically and consistently implement the ENS security controls that are mandated by the standard, and help them to be able to deploy AWS cloud solutions and infrastructure quickly in adherence with those specific requirements. In doing this, AWS and CCN also partnered with Prowler to enable a soft audit capability that provides an automated and a continuous verification of the ENS controls and the fact that they're in operation and working as expected. We're going to continue working with regulators and authorities worldwide to provide more of these simplified local paths for our customers to use the Landing Zone Accelerator. And we look forward to being able to continue to work with everybody here on prioritizing the next available country-specific landing zone extensions. Another example of how we continue to work to invent based upon customer needs includes our collaboration with the Singapore Smart Nation and Digital Government Group, where we worked jointly to help define the AWS dedicated local zones launched in August of 23. This type of infrastructure is fully managed by AWS, but it's built for the exclusive use of this customer or community, and it's placed in a customer-specified location or data center to run the sensitive or other regulated workloads that they require. And so it gives them the flexibility to leverage the public cloud in Singapore to the maximum extent, and then leverage dedicated local zones with the same services and APIs that they're used to working for their more regulated workloads. And we continue to expand these capabilities, and customers can now use S3 in dedicated local zones that provides the same familiar APIs that they're used to for an elastic object storage service. Last year, we also announced our plans to launch the AWS European Sovereign Cloud to be able to provide customers, again, with more choice to meet varying requirements for data residency, operational autonomy, and resiliency. This new independent cloud is going to be located and operated entirely within the EU. It'll have all of the same security, availability, and performance that our customers get from existing AWS regions today, along with important specific features that will help them comply with evolving EU regulations. The European Sovereign Cloud, just like all of our other regions, is built with the same sovereign by design principles. It leverages more than a decade of AWS experience operating multiple independent clouds for some of the most critical restricted workloads around the world. The first AWS region in the European Sovereign Cloud is set to launch in the state of Brandenburg, Germany, by the end of 2025, which is going to be here faster than we all realize. And it's backed up by a 7.8 billion euro investment in infrastructure, jobs creation, and skills development that builds on our long-running commitment in Europe and to provide ongoing support for the entire EU region's sovereignty requirements. The initial region is going to launch with multiple availability zones, each in distinct geographic locations with enough distance between them to be able to reduce the risk of a single event impacting any kind of continuity or access. Like existing AWS regions, the European Sovereign Cloud will be powered by the Nitro system to help ensure the confidentiality and the security and the integrity of customer data. As an independent cloud region, it's also going to be built to have separate identity and access management, in-region billing, and usage and metering systems. Over time, this and other regions in the cloud will also function as the parent region for things like outposts and dedicated local zones to give customers more control, more flexibility in how they architect and operate to be able to provide workload isolation or in-country data residency or other emerging compliance requirements. And so while customers have always had control and still do today of their data, where they store it, the location, the European Sovereign Cloud is also going to allow customers to control all of the customer-created metadata and keep that inside the European Sovereign Cloud, inside the EU, to meet enhanced data residency requirements. And customer metadata includes things like roles, permissions, resource labels, configurations that you use to run on AWS. And this is where, again, we believe that customers need that freedom of choice because it's a continuum of capability. And so while the European Sovereign Cloud can allow customers to meet distinct requirements, they also have the choice to deploy in any of the 8 regions across Europe or the 6 regions in the EU today. And we found that pattern with our other independent region in the US called GovCloud, where customers simultaneously leverage both the US GovCloud and then local regions in the US. And we certainly believe that that's the option and the opportunity for customers in Europe with the European Sovereign Cloud. To assure the independent operation of the European Sovereign Cloud, day-to-day operations, technical support, and customer services will all be provided only by EU residents from EU locations subject to EU law. All AWS personnel in the EU are trained and empowered on how to protect local and EU law, such as refusing a request that they believe would violate a law like the General Data Protection Regulation or GDPR. Importantly, the European Sovereign Cloud is a fully featured AWS cloud and will offer the same broad set of services, including compute, storage, database, analytics, networking, machine learning, AI, and so much more. In fact, in June, we announced this full suite of services. It'll include also the ability for customers to take advantage of an AWS marketplace in European Sovereign Cloud to also be able to acquire curated digital catalog so they can quickly buy, build, test, or run, just like you do in other AWS commercial regions, but with partners deploying solutions specific to the European Sovereign Cloud. And we'll continue giving you regular updates leading up to the Sovereign Cloud launch. So I hope everybody here is in process right now of evaluating your requirements and planning on how you can take advantage of the European Sovereign Cloud when it's available in December of 2025. I was really excited just 2 weeks ago to be able to release a blog post that shares with customers some of the AWS partners who are now announcing that they're going to make their services also available in the European Sovereign Cloud to help drive that innovation and that acceleration and the ability to get the full power of the cloud. This slide includes a snapshot of those partners who've announced that they're going to provide solutions to give customers more choice. So they'll similarly be available in EU regions and then also in the European Sovereign Cloud to help simplify customers' efforts to meet their requirements as the security and sovereignty requirements evolve. And we'll be sharing more updates with more partners who join and announce to their customers in the coming year. You should know that we continue working around the world with partners who have a deep set of experience. We've got currently more than 100,000 partners in the AWS partner ecosystem, and they have the ability to provide you with local guidance and local people and local execution to allow you to leverage offerings and architect with the security best practices that we talked about. To help address customers' digital sovereignty requirements while also maximizing your ability to get the full potential out of the cloud, we've established a community of AWS partners that have advanced experience with digital sovereignty requirements and services. And this makes it easier for customers to identify those AWS partners that we've vetted to have the skills, the solutions, and the past experience delivering on unique digital sovereignty needs. You'll notice that there's nearly 24 logos up here and a QR code. Like I said, we'll be adding to this continually, so that QR code will link you back to the webpage where you'll continue to see the partners that are part of this set of experienced partners. I'm going to give just 2 examples of how partners are in fact helping customers meet their needs. One is German partner T-Systems. They're part of Deutsche Telekom, and they offer data protection as a managed service on AWS, where they provide the guidance to ensure that data residency controls are properly configured and that the service configuration meets requirements. And they also provide the external key management solution, along with the expertise to help customers know how to build in a fashion that addresses the requirements that they've got for security and sovereignty. T-Systems has been working with Toll for Europe, which is one of the leading providers of the European electronic toll system, and they help them to meet the general and the country-specific requirements for IT security in one common platform that runs on AWS. And this platform serves the needs of several 100,000 active onboard units across 17 European toll operators in 14 different countries, while ensuring that data sovereignty and compliance are all in line. And that's really one of the keys, is we have to be able to make sure that we still can build and deliver systems at scale that run securely and that run in a cost-effective fashion. Another partner, Deloitte, helps empower organizations maintain control over their digital assets and mitigate the risks of data governance and adhere to regulatory compliance. Deloitte and AWS worked with Ireland's Office of Revenue Commissioners to establish a landing zone foundation for hosting their workloads, and they used the AWS Landing Zone Accelerator combined with AWS Control Tower sovereignty controls to automate the implementation of detective and preventative controls. And this has allowed the Office of Revenue Commissioners to accelerate their cloud adoption while also ensuring compliance with GDPR and the Irish government's cybersecurity and data privacy requirements. AWS will continue to provide a wide range of programs for partners and customers that you can choose from. One of them that I want to highlight is the AWS Global Security and Compliance Acceleration Program, which is led by our AWS security partner strategists and solution architects. This program offers no-cost advisory services to help customers address global security, regulatory, and compliance needs, and connects them with a trusted network of AWS partners to help provide the same sort of advice to help you save time, reduce costs, and simplify your efforts along that security and sovereignty compliance journey. As we continue to expand offerings and programs, it means there are more opportunities for our partners to continue to learn, build, and grow, and to help our partners in the audience here learn how to leverage AWS services and how to build workloads that are sovereign by design. We recently released a new digital sovereignty technical training on the AWS Skill Builder. This adds to a collection of existing business trainings that are available. We also recently launched a new landing page on AWS Marketplace so that you can, again, use a handy QR code here. They'll link it to the catalog so you can easily find customers' digital sovereignty solutions that are available on the marketplace to be able to buy and deploy now. As we continue to innovate to help meet customer and partner needs, AWS is honored to be able to be named as a leader in the Sovereign Cloud Infrastructure Services for EU by ISG, who's a global technology research and IT advisory firm. For the second year in a row, ISG defines leaders as those whose offerings are the most appropriate solutions to meet specific needs of clients across the EU. And AWS was rated ahead of other leading cloud providers with the highest score in portfolio attractiveness. Quite simply, that means that you have the broadest ability to leverage the full power of the cloud. And they assess multiple different factors, including that portfolio scope, quality, strategy, vision, and local characteristics. Now, we've covered a lot of ground today, and it can seem like there's a lot of complexity involved in digital sovereignty. Adopting cloud solutions that align with local regulatory frameworks and that respect a country's commitment to data privacy and that adhere to the highest standards of security can be a challenging, maybe sometimes even a daunting effort. But what I want to do is assure you that AWS and our partners are here so that you don't have to do it alone. And working with your local AWS teams and working with some of these AWS partners that have demonstrated digital sovereignty competencies can help you move faster and more efficiently while also keeping costs low. And we're committed to continuing to offer customers the most advanced set of sovereignty controls and security features that are available in the cloud. And I love working with many of you that I see in the audience today, and I look forward to all the things that you're going to continue to build and that we'll be able to continue to achieve together. I'm going to end here with a couple of things that you can do to help your organizations build the sort of skills and confidence you need to be able to deliver on the requirement for security and sovereignty. Number one, as I did a second ago, I encourage you to connect with the AWS team that's here today or back home when you get home and talk about your specific needs and how our solutions can help you take the next steps. Again, it can appear complex and overwhelming, but we've got the technical measures, the operational controls, and the contract and legal protections that allow you to build to your national or regional or local security and sovereignty requirements today. And we're going to continue to deliver more solutions in the future, some of which I talked about here. Visit the digital sovereignty and data protection kiosk that's in the AWS Village, where you can watch demos and you can learn about sovereign cloud offerings. You can also visit some of the AWS Partner Network booths to connect with their digital sovereignty experts. Scan the QR code here to be able to check out the digital sovereignty webpage. That'll have additional resources. It'll include updates and future reports. It'll include white papers. It'll include specific guidance and key insights that will help you keep up with the evolving regulatory landscape and help you advance your journey to the cloud. And then finally, a little plug here, attend the digital sovereignty breakout session and the Chalk Talk that are also taking place today and tomorrow. And that'll give you more ways to learn about how you can leverage the cloud to meet your requirements. And so with that, I want to give you a list of some other resources and websites. No QR code here. You'll just have to whip out that camera and take a handy-dandy picture. But I encourage you to leverage all of these tools and resources. We spend a lot of time understanding customer requirements, a lot of time working with regulators, and a lot of time trying to give you all the practical advice about how you can overcome this complexity and make your organizations future ready. And so with that, I want to thank you for joining us here on the early morning Las Vegas Wednesday. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of the conference. Thanks very much.